Chelsea and Inter seem to be going into business. They seem to be having a lot of business to discuss in the coming days. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video, another live stream. Chelsea and Inter Milan. They seem to have a lot on the agenda, don't they? They've got a lot of business that apparently needs to be discussed. A few players that could be swapping, going to and fro from Chelsea to Inter and back again. On the agenda between these two clubs are three players in particular. One is Inter's Andre Onana, the goalkeeper who, of course, was in the Champions League final this past week. The second player is Chelsea's Kalidou Koulibaly. Only moved to Chelsea, of course, last summer, but hasn't quite hit the level of expectation that everybody was thinking he would. And the third player, Romelu Lukaku, only on loan into this season, of course, going back to Chelsea at the end of that obviously loan spell. Could he be making that loan spell permanent, and could he be returning to Inter on a permanent basis? I think after his Champions League final performance this past weekend, I think a lot of Inter fans might be against the idea. We're going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about Inter, Chelsea in particular, of course, because sticking with obviously the Premier League theme, of course, and everything else that goes along with that. We're going to be talking about these three players in particular. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always and probably greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings as we're going through it live here in the here, now, and the present on this particular topic, on all of these players and so on and so forth, because I'm sure it will all make for interesting and intriguing reading. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. Let's talk these three players. For me, we're going to start with Kalidou Koulibaly. For me, not lived up to the hype and expectation that we all expected of him when, of course, he arrived in England over a year ago. This is a guy that has been dominating the defending scene across Europe. A guy who's been defending, who obviously grew his reputation in Serie A with Napoli, was up there with the likes of the best defenders in world football at that time. He was up there with being compared with Virgil van Dijk, for example, who was at the top of his game, at the peak of his powers, and people were saying that Koulibaly can rival him. Good on the ball, strong, quick, intelligent. His positional awareness is on point. He had all the makings of a complete and solid defender. And then for whatever reason, maybe it's age, maybe it's the changing of the league, changing of the culture, maybe it's the high demand, high physicality, high energy, high work rate of the Premier League. Maybe that caught up with him, and maybe that's why he hasn't quite lived up to the expectation that I think a lot of people thought they would have on this guy. For one reason or another, it hasn't quite worked out. He's been okay, but he's not been as amazing, as incredible as what a lot of people made out. Chelsea's defence this season hasn't been the issue. The issue's been at the other end of the pitch. But at the same time, Koulibaly hasn't exactly set the world alight since his big money move. Like, well, I mean, I say big money. I guess in comparison to some of the football transfers of today, 33, 35 million or whatever it was, somewhere in that region, isn't considered massive amounts of money, but it's still big money, as daft as it may sound. So with that being said, and obviously with Pochettino now coming in, and again, like a lot of Chelsea players, you can have the argument, I guess, in some cases that maybe Koulibaly suffered, like a lot of Chelsea players did, with the changing of the manager, the different formations, different setups, whatever it may be, the constant rotation, whatever it may be. Like, maybe you could argue that Koulibaly suffered with a lot of that. I think he made something along the lines of 25 appearances in the Premier League this season, 32 in all competitions. And I think constantly, or at least regularly, had a change in that back line at some point somewhere. Could that have affected his game? Perhaps. Could it be down to him as well? Perhaps. Could it be his age? Perhaps. Could it be the changing of the league and how different the Premier League is to the Italian league? Again, perhaps. There could be a number of reasons as to why Koulibaly hasn't quite hit the ground running in the Premier League, to the point where Maurizio Pochettino is now coming in, looking at this squad, and is looking to completely overhaul a large majority of it. We've already talked about the midfield situation, how much that needs to be improved upon, how much that can be upgraded upon, and how much seems to be changing in that area, with a lot of outgoings seemingly in that position. The defence is another one as well. And like I say, Koulibaly seems to be one on the chopping block for that kind of change to happen and change to occur. Going to Inter, smart move by Koulibaly. If this is to be the case, it's a smart move by him. It's a league, obviously, he's familiar with. It's a league, obviously, that is a bit slower out there. So it might, again, suit more of his style, if that is to be the reason it didn't quite work out in England. Bit of a slower league. Bit of a league that he knows, he's familiar with. Obviously, from his long time there at Napoli and so on and so forth. It could be a very good decision from Koulibaly. It could be a very good move by him to obviously go back, see out the rest of his playing career in Italy in a more suitable and more comfortable environment. Again, maybe it's a bit of a culture thing. Maybe it's a bit of a league thing, a footballing thing. Whatever the case may be, I think it will be a good move for both. And obviously, with Inter losing Skriniar this summer, again, that leaves a bit of a void, doesn't it? It leaves a bit of a hole there for someone to fill. And obviously, Koulibaly comes in, plenty of experience, plenty of knowledge, know-how, and of course has got all the tools still of a good defender that has just sort of lost his way in the past year. Again, maybe because of a new league, maybe because of the constant issues that were going on at Chelsea across the entirety of this career, of the now last season, shall we say. Alternatively, though, there could be something in this that might throw a bit of a spanner in the works. There was links leading him, or there was links with him maybe going to Saudi Arabia, maybe being tempted by, what a lot of people are seemingly taking, a bit of a last payday sort of thing, in which he might get a lot of money to go and spend the remaining years of his career in Saudi Arabia. I don't think that will be the case. I think that he will rather go back to Italy, but of course it was something to consider nonetheless. Like I say, Chelsea and Inter have a lot to discuss in terms of business. Koulibaly is one of them. Could he be a part of a deal to bring Andre Onana the other way? Onana, of course, Inter Milan goalkeeper. Very good goalkeeper, in fact. A very good goalkeeper across Europe. Been heavily speculated upon that he might be on the move this summer. Chelsea seemingly very much interested. And there were reports even before the Champions League final that allegedly a deal was close. Personal terms were going to be no issue. Maybe this one was on the cards all along. Makes sense. Makes sense from Chelsea. Kepa's clearly not good enough. Mendy had a very good spell, like many months ago, and a very, very good spell as a quality and top draw goalkeeper. That, well, for one reason or another, again, he's fallen off a cliff in terms of his form, and it makes sense that Chelsea would go after a goalkeeper and go after that basis. And it seems to be a bit of a trend amongst some Premier League teams that this season and this summer, they're trying to start from the back again and go after a new goalkeeper. Obviously, Tottenham are after David Raya. Manchester United have got a couple of goalkeeping targets as well, including, of course, David Raya themselves and Diego Costa from Porto. Chelsea are seemingly another club interested in backing up their goalkeeper options, and that option could be Inter Milan's Andre Onana. Failed to get him has seemingly suggested that Mike Maignan of AC Milan, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that name right. It didn't sound right when I said it, so it probably isn't. Could be going in, it could be another target of Chelsea, but Onana's been strongly linked, and there's been strong link for a number of days now, and especially when you consider that there is some business on either side that they want done. Could there be some sort of potential trade deal, some sort of potential money plus player deal, player plus cash deal, something along those lines that can get done? It seems that both are willing to do business, both are willing to come to some sort of agreement on these two players in particular. It could be done. Chelsea are in need of a goalkeeper like Onana. They need someone that can play out from the back like Onana can. We saw that in the Champions League final. We've seen it constantly. If you've been watching a bit of Serie A or a bit of Inter Milan across the Champions League, he is a very good goalkeeper who is very modern in the way that obviously he can play with his feet. That seems to be the growing trend. It is the growing trend amongst goalkeepers that they can essentially be outfield players themselves and act properly as that 11th player rather than just the guy who can just use his hands. That is what Pochettino would like. He'd like a goalkeeper that can start attacks from the back. And if obviously you have that, it's better than having just a shot stopper. In my opinion, Onana is a very good shot stopper and is very good with the ball at his feet and can play nice passes through the gaps, through the lines to start attacks. If they can add that to their squad, that is starting from the back, and that is a very good acquisition for Mauricio Pochettino as soon as he walked through the door at Stamford Bridge to obviously take charge of his new Chelsea side. So there could be a potential deal there, and there has been constant links of the two that simultaneously there could be some sort of trade deal in the works. There could be something there with all of that. Separately, we look at Romelu Lukaku. Now, of course, like I say, he's been on loan at Inter Milan this season. He's not had as great a season as he previously did there when he was there last time under Antonio Conte, where, of course, they won the league. And not only did they win the league, of course, but he was also a very big part and a vital part of Inter Milan's attack going forward. Him and Lautaro Martinez formed a great partnership in Serie A, which obviously was formidable enough that they were scary and they were contributing very well, and they complemented each other very well for both of them to post some very good numbers, post some very good records for obviously Inter's title-winning season. It's not been as great for him this time around at Inter, but I think the culture, the league, everything else kind of suits him over there. Inter Milan fans, like I said earlier, might not agree and might not want him anywhere near their club after his disastrous sort of cameo display in the Champions League final. But at the same time, if there's deals to be done, if there's business to be done, and if Inter Milan obviously want this guy back, they will get the deal done. And I think with Chelsea looking to really change up their squad this season, with Pochettino looking to stamp his authority and his style of play and his type of players on this squad, we're going to see a lot of business this summer from Chelsea, a lot of incomings, a lot of outgoings. And I think that obviously Lukaku will be part of that. I thought there might be a possibility and maybe a bit of a possibility that maybe he might get another chance under another manager with Pochettino. It doesn't necessarily fit the typical Pochettino sort of plan, but he could be modified a little bit more into that sort of role. I thought clearly it might not be the case. Clearly Inter Milan might be the way to go. Again, similar to Koulibaly, though, there were other reports linking Lukaku with a move to Saudi Arabia. And again, if he feels like he's done with European football, if he feels like maybe a sort of New challenge is what he wants in a new country with a new culture and everything along those lines. And of course, if he just feels like maybe going for the money, Saudi Arabia may be the way to go. But if he wants comfort, if he wants a league that might satisfy him a little bit more, if he wants maybe a style of play that might suit him a little better, Inter Milan might be the way to go about it. And again, there's going to be some interesting talk and debate there between these two clubs going forward as to whether or not a deal can be done, whether there's going to be two players for one, whether there's going to be money and cash exchange and part exchange for these players. There's a lot to be discussed with these. But I'm just curious on the whole Chelsea front of this, because there's a lot of talk of outgoings, a few obviously incomings, and especially with it being Chelsea, and they've thrown so much money around this past year already that, you know, there's gonna be talk of that. Just intrigued again, what's gonna happen when they have to try and gel and bed all these players in. There seems to be so many outgoings, and what we've heard is that, you know, this player's going to leave, and 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 this player's coming in, and then this player's coming in, and this player's coming in. Is it a dangerous game that Chelsea are playing here? Is it a bit of a chaotic game that Chelsea are playing here? Because I'm not saying it has to work instantly. Chelsea fans might. Rival fans that see the money kind of aspect of it and see that Chelsea are splashing around all this cash might say that it has to instantly work. But if there is going to be so much business to be done this summer, if there's going to be so many outgoings and so many incomings, and you've got to try and bed all of those new guys in, and you've got to try and make it work in a Pochettino system that is a system that usually is well drilled, well worked upon, ingrained into you right from the off. Is that going to work instantly? And if it doesn't work instantly, which I'm predicting it might not, do the Chelsea fans do what they did with Graham Potter? Do they get rid of him almost instantaneously, or call to get rid of him instantaneously? Or do they actually think, hang on a minute, we can't keep doing this because otherwise another manager's going to come in and he's going to do the same thing. He's going to get rid of the players that they brought in. He's going to bring in so many more new players, and then we're going to start this cycle again. I encourage Chelsea to this time stick with Pochettino, and I encourage them to this time trust in that process. If it doesn't work first time, you can't keep demanding the manager to be sacked and out, because a new manager is going to come in and he's going to do pretty much the exact same thing. I worry on that level for the Blues, in all honesty. They are putting a lot of faith and a lot of hope in these new players that might or might not gel instantly. On paper, Chelsea have got a good side, and what they're doing for the future makes good business sense and makes good footballing sense. Whether or not they've got the guy and the brains behind the operation to put it all together or not, obviously remains to be seen, but it's a good start with Pochettino. The only issue is that Pochettino's going to need time. He's already on the back foot with what's gone on beforehand. He's already on the back foot with being obviously a former Tottenham manager. But when you see all of these players that are potentially coming in, he's making sort of the right decisions right now, or at least someone is at Chelsea making the right decisions right now in terms of looking at these targets and seeing who they're going to bring in. I think Onana is a brilliant start for the goalkeeper. I think getting rid of Lukaku may be the right choice overall. I did think he may get another chance at Chelsea with the new manager and everything, but I think it's the right choice overall to get rid. Ugarte, for me, would have been great, but if they can get Caicedo instead, that is just amazing and wonderful and perfect for them. Is it all going to bed in? There's also Christopher Nkunku as well. Can he be the guy to finally be and solve Chelsea's striking problem? because Jesus Christ, they've had so many strikers these past several years that just haven't worked. Can he be the guy to sort of break that and to actually go ahead and be the guy that will get them 20 to 25 league goals? Because Chelsea's chance creation is not the issue. They create plenty of chances. It's just sticking the ball in the back of the net. And I do feel that, and I've said it time and time again, Graham Potter would still be in the job right now had Chelsea gone out in January and bought a proper striker. I just feel that way because I don't think there was a whole lot wrong with what he was trying to do or what he was trying to implement. And I knew that it wouldn't be perfect. I knew that it wouldn't be hitting the ground running. But I do feel that with no proper striker in that squad is what really let Graham Potter down a fair amount. And that's why I think he unfairly got hounded out. It's not completely the whole story. That doesn't tell the whole story. There are other issues as well. Some on Graham Potter, but most of them on what he walked into and what he inherited straight away from obviously jumping ship from Brighton to Chelsea at the time that he did. But I just feel like proper striker is obviously what they were crying out for at that time. Christopher Nkunku comes in now. Massive pressure on his shoulders to get the goals. You look across the rest of the squad, a lot of youngsters, a lot of players that are coming in that are going to be new and fresh. They're going to need time to bed in again. Is this going to work for Pochettino? I think Onana is a great start. It's a solid start. But getting rid of some of the more experienced players in that team, getting rid of some of the players that have been there for a while. And I know we said that Chelsea have needed a clear out, but maybe they do it more gradually. This one seems to be completely ripping it out and starting again. And, you know, in some cases that could work. And I think in some areas, especially, I've called for the team to be completely ripped apart and started again from a rival fan, from the outside looking in. Because I think that if Chelsea are to get back on top, that is the right way to do it. But you do wonder if maybe it's too much. Maybe it's going to be a cycle for Chelsea. Maybe it doesn't quite work out and Chelsea go, and the Chelsea fans go, no, we knew this wasn't the guy. We didn't like him anyway. Get him out. He doesn't have a clue what he's doing. Bring in another manager. And then they bring in another manager who does the exact same thing, who gets rid of the players that Pochettino brought in because he doesn't want them. And then they bring in new players. And then the whole cycle begins again. That for me is a bit of a worry. That for me is a bit of a concern. But overall, like I say, I think it's a good start. And from Inter's point of view as well, look, they have this weird fascination over Lukaku. Fair enough. He was great under Antonio Conte. It was great for Inter a few years ago when they won the Serie A title. He is better when he works with a second striker, in this case with Lautaro Martinez. And I know that those two have a very good partnership. And as far as what Koulibaly is concerned, that one does make sense as well, because in my opinion, Koulibaly is a player that obviously knows Serie A. He is a player that is comfortable over there. He's a player that obviously made a name for himself over there. And it makes perfect sense that a guy like Koulibaly would go to a Inter to, again, bed in, be with that kind of, be in that scenario, that surroundings, be in those comfortable surroundings, play with a slower sort of a slower sort of style, a slower sort of system, and of course be just overall more comfortable with all of that going on around him in Serie A, in Italy, and with Inter Milan, of course. Hey, Ballum, nice to meet you, bro. Hope you're having a good day. Hello. Last season, Nottingham Forest, they didn't get a shirt sponsor until January. Are you going to be their new shirt sponsor like summer? You know what? Maybe one day if this thing takes off. Who knows? Onana will like a move to the Premier League. What's his name? Onana. Yeah, Andre Onana of Inter Milan, goalkeeper. very good goalkeeper. Very one of the modern day goalkeepers in terms of plays with his feet more, and yes, as very good with his passing ability and starting attacks from the back. What team shirt is that for the viewers? It's Oak Football Club. It's one of the shows ones of shirt in the box. Not paid promotion, by the way. Don't worry, like not paid promotion. Yeah, but yeah, I got it in a mystery box kind of thing, and yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty cool. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. Onana played good in Champions League final. He did. If I remember correctly, I think Inter recorded something along the lines of 8 clean sheets in the Champions League this season. And I think Onana was a big part of that. I know that Inter had a solid defense throughout the majority of the competition, but Onana definitely helped in that score. Like I said, I rate him. I think he's a very good goalkeeper. And I think that if Chelsea are to get him, it works well with Potter's system. It's a goalkeeper, is a good shot stopper, and is good with starting attacks from the back. He's got great passing ability from a goalkeeper's point of view. And it's not just kicking the ball long and hoping for the best either. It's actually finding and beating the press. It's actually finding the players in space to beat the press that a high pressing team might provide on a team like Chelsea. So we'll have to wait and see. And I want to help Inter with Italia Coppa Italia. Yep. And obviously he comes in with that under his belt as well. So he's got a bit of experience winning, which I think will definitely help Pochettino. It will help the club. It will help the squad. Yeah, I think, is he only like 26, 27? I don't remember his age, to be honest with you. Let me just find it out. Um, 27. I was sort of right. Yes, 27. He's 27 years of age. Sorry, I was just having a look at his age because I couldn't for the life of me remember, but I thought it was somewhere in that kind of area. So yes, 27 years of age. Like I say, for goalkeepers, they can continue to go on until their late 30s, early 40s. So this guy could be pretty much down to play for Chelsea for the next decade, if so. But I think it is a very good start for Pochettino. I think it is a very good way of beginning, starting from the back, bring him in straight away, bring him in early. And yeah, move on from there, basically. And then you can venture further forward. Like I say, I'm a little bit concerned with the amount of outgoings and not a lot in terms of incomings. Chelsea seem to have their eggs in a couple of baskets, shall we say, in terms of position-wise. You know, he's still got the Caicedo one going forward from midfield. I think if he gets him, Pochettino's going to turn him into an absolute beast of a midfielder, even more so than what he already is. But I think in that Pochettino system, high work rate, high press, Caicedo will thrive in there. And I think playing alongside Enzo Fernandez as well, that's going to very much complement the two brilliantly. And those two could be a very formidable partnership in that midfield. Take care. Premier League fixtures tomorrow morning will be interesting. Yep, very much so. Like I say, I'm still expecting Liverpool to get Luton away. First game of the season at 12:30 Saturday morning kickoff, because you know that's just what Premier League loves to do to Liverpool. Put them on Saturday morning for some reason. Don't know why. Maybe it's because they know that Klopp's rattled by them and doesn't like them, and they'll get some money out of him probably. I don't know. But yeah. That fixtures tomorrow should be interesting. Thanks for staying, bro. Thanks for coming along and interacting. Always good to see you, my dude. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. But yes, Inter Milan, Chelsea, there might be a fair amount of business that needs to be discussed between these two clubs, especially if obviously reports and rumors are to be believed, in terms of 3 players between the two clubs that are seemingly going to be jumping ship one way or the other. But as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of this whole entire Andre Onana, Kalidou Koulibaly, Romelu Lukaku sort of sagas and situations between Chelsea and Inter? I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, down below in the comment section. Sure, it'll make for interesting and great reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up. Enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks live stream, and I will see you all again soon in another video.